In this tutorial, you will learn to identify the stated main idea of a text, to identify the implied main idea of a text, to recognize different types of supporting details and understand how they are used.
One big takeaway from this tutorial that you guys are viewing is going to be the idea that main idea is the same thing as central idea. So when we use the term central idea in class, or you see the idea of central idea on different assessments or different work that you're going to be doing, it's talking about the same thing as this video is going to be talking about with main idea.
Your friend just saw an exciting new action movie. You ask, what was the movie about? When you ask questions like, what is this about? Or what events and ideas are most important, you are looking for the main idea.
Oftentimes, the idea of central idea will apply rather to nonfiction than in this instance, which is given of a movie, which is most likely a piece of nonfiction.
So how should your friend respond to your question? When you ask about the main idea, you want to know the most important ideas communicated in the movie. In other words, the big picture. Read two possible answers that your friend might give. Does either answer tell the main idea? Click yes or no.
When looking through this, the first instance says, Jamie Raymond, a cop, jumps out of a plane in one suspenseful scene. She survives by wresting a parachute from a guy. Jamie Raymond, for the second example, a cop, chases after a group of thieves. She faces all kinds of dangerous situations as she tries to track down the thieves and arrest them. You'll notice that the first one, in this case, says jumps out of a plane in one suspenseful scene. Because of that, no, this would not be the main idea. However, the second example is a great example of main idea. Because, as it says here, this response tells the most important idea, that Jamie Raymond must capture a group of thieves, and is not over one specific scene.
Like a movie, every piece of writing has a main idea, or the most important idea about a topic that a writer wants to convey. A main idea can be the central idea of an entire work, a section of that work, or a single paragraph. Supporting details are words, phrases, or sentences that tell more about the main idea. Read these sentences. One communicates a main idea. The other supports that idea. Select the main idea.
So you can look through these four and look through them as I read them aloud. Americans who moved west lived in mud houses. These pioneers needed to dig their own wells to get water. They faced harsh weather and rough farming conditions, and American pioneers had difficult lives. What you should probably be thinking is that the first three of these are all details that add up to the one big main idea, which is American pioneers had difficult lives.
Some main ideas are directly stated in a text. As a reader, look for the main idea in the first and last sentences of a text or in the title and subheadings. What is the main idea of this passage?
Looking on the right-hand side in the black box, it says, all about polar bears, adaptations. Polar bears have adapted to their cold Arctic environment. Their fur has hollow hairs filled with air, which provides insulation so that they can live on the ice and swim in frigid water. Since polar bears spend most of the time in the sea, more time in the sea than on land, they have webbed front paws to help them swim. What is the main idea of this passage? Polar bears live in the Arctic. Polar bears have adapted to their environment. Polar bear fur is made up of hollow hairs, or polar bears have webbed front paws. You will notice that three of these are all details. However, one of them, polar bears have adapted to their environment, is the main idea or central idea.
Other times, the main idea isn't stated directly, but implied. In such a case, look at the title, subheadings, and all the supporting details. Ask, what do the details add up to? What is the implied main idea of this passage?
In this case, I want you to look at the black box under where it says Rediscovering an Old Art, and then choose from the four options which you think is the implied main idea.
As you've learned, the title, the subheadings, and the supporting details in a text can serve as clues to the implied main idea. What is the main idea of this passage?
Similar to what you just did, I want for you to read the black box entitled The Harlem Renaissance, and out of the 4 options provided, please select what you think is the implied main idea of this passage.
Now, take a closer look at supporting details. As you'll recall, supporting details are words, phrases, or sentences that tell more about the main idea. Look at the 2 main ideas below. Drag into the box all the details that support each main idea.
For classes should start later, and school uniforms help students, it's important to find the details that go with these. Let's look at the first one. Teens have different sleep cycles than adults. They need to sleep later in the mornings. That has nothing to do with school uniforms, so I'm going to put in the box that says classes should start later. When students aren't focused on their clothes, they can focus on their lessons. Clearly goes with school uniforms since it mentions clothes. And experts say that high school students are more alert and productive after 9 o'clock a.m. That's another example of having to do with classes should start later.
Writers use different supporting details depending on their purpose or reason for writing. A writer who wants to persuade might rely on reasons, facts, and statistics. Here's how each detail provides support.
In the case of reasons, you can read the black box. It says reasons and actions. Everyone should make an exercise and habit. Not only does exercise strengthen the lungs and heart, but it also makes you feel good. For facts and statistics, they explain things, such as CDs are losing popularity. Since 2002, there's been a rising trend in MP3 purchases and a declining one in the purchase of music CDs. Examples, on the other hand, illustrate, such as in italics there. For instance, all my friends choose to view TV shows on the web rather than on conventional TV. And finally, sensory details describe. Autumn is the most splendid season of the year. Its leaves are ablaze with rich, warm hues. At every turn are splashes of color that excite the eye. You'll see with sensory details that relates a lot to reading literature 8.4, which is specific language, which we've been working on in class.
A supporting detail makes the main idea stronger. Read the main idea on the right, then drag into the box any details that support it.
Rather than dragging anything in, what I want you to do is using the checkbox option, I want you to check all of the boxes that you think would go underneath coral reefs can help people, being supporting details.
As you read any text, use a graphic organizer to help you keep track of the main ideas and supporting details.
This is never a bad idea, and it might work out to help you.
This type of graphic organizer visually represents the importance of a main idea and its relationship to the details that support it. You can also use an outline to keep track of main ideas, especially when you're reading longer texts. The main idea of a text or paragraph is the most important idea about a topic that a writer wants to convey. It answers the question, what is this text or paragraph about? Sometimes, the main idea is directly stated in a text. At other times, the main idea is implied or not directly stated. Look for clues to the main idea by reading the title, subheadings, and the first and last sentences. Supporting details are words, phrases, or sentences that tell more about the main idea. Writers may use reasons, facts and statistics, examples, or sensory details to support a main idea.